We people, we're creatures of habit, aren't we? I know I am. I was gone just for a couple of days in Chicago, and just going to a different place kind of throws you off your rhythm, doesn't it? We're creatures of habit. We like to have everything in order. Things that are stable, that are secure, that we know we can rely upon. In particular, we got to have that, at least I do, that cup of coffee in the morning. I heavily rely upon the brothers who get up earlier than me and make that coffee. But we get comfortable with our bed. We have our favorite pillow. We like to watch certain programs before we go to and tuck ourselves in at night. We like to have order and stability in our life, don't we? And when things go wrong, even if it's a small thing, it can start to throw us off our rhythm. If we don't have that coffee, we get a little cranky. If we have to sleep somewhere else, maybe we have a rough night's sleep and wake up tired in the morning. But it's true for larger things as well. We spend a lot of our time and energy trying to build up a walled garden where everything is secure and stable, and you can rely upon it. Spend years working on that retirement fund. Spend years trying to make sure the house is paid off. Making sure that all of the plans are set for the future. And now we have the letter of James seemingly pulling the rug out from all of it. It's funny, maybe it's a consequence of where I grew up, but, people often say, good night, I'll see you tomorrow. Or, see you tomorrow, see you next week. We say that kind of thing. And I must have just picked it up growing up where I did, but I always say, God willing. And, it's funny because sometimes people will look at you almost kind of offended. What do you mean, God willing? Do you know something I don't know? Of course I'll see you tomorrow. Of course I'll see you next week. Don't say God willing. Sounds too ominous. It begins to shake our foundation. But it's true. We do not know what tomorrow holds. We don't even know what the next couple of hours may hold for us. But to think on that, it gets rid of the whole illusion of our stability, of our comfort and our security. To think that we spent all that time working on our retirement, to think that the economy could crash and it all could be gone. No one wants to think of that. Or to think that I spent years going to the gym and eating right and doing all these things only to find out I have a terminal illness. I can't think of that. To think that I did everything that I could to teach my children and to raise them up in the faith, to think that they could just walk away. We don't want to think of that. It begins to get rid of our firm foundation. And so we just put it out of our mind. And so when James says, don't go around with plans as if you know what the future holds. He says, you're going from town to town saying, I'm going to make a lot of money here this year, and then I'm going to go on to the next year, and I know everything that's going to happen. Don't do that. Because there's no guarantee. Well, what are we left with? And then the question becomes, can we have any security at all? Can we stand on a firm foundation? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. In fact, you can stand on a far more firm foundation than you think you're standing on now. Just think of how much time and energy is spent in trying to keep that walled garden. We try to make sure that we have everything that we need, but so much of our life is spent trying to repair it and fix it and responding to the world around us. And the next thing you know, you find yourself completely trapped in a spiral that is beyond your control. If you absolutely have to have that coffee every morning, and I'm speaking to myself, what happens when we're not able to trade halfway around the world and get it anymore? Well, now we're dependent on forces that are far bigger than us. If our security is dependent upon the decisions that elite bankers are making halfway around the world, how powerless do we feel? You see, it's an illusion, that sure and solid foundation you think you make for yourself. But there is one that you can stand on, and it's one that people like Polycarp and so many have stood on before. And that is conviction in our Lord Jesus Christ, and to follow his commands in good times and in bad. To know why you do what you do, regardless of what's going on in the world around you. To speak the truth even when no one wants to hear it. To do what is right even when others will say slanderous things about you. To stand in honor and dignity regardless of what others are thinking, saying, and doing. To remain firm in the truth and in virtue. That is a foundation that the world cannot take away. And it is eternal. You know, Polycarp died as a martyr at the age of 86 years old. I don't think too many 86-year-olds are expecting to die that kind of death. My days of adventuring are done. But you know what's interesting is that in these days of persecution, do you know why they persecuted the Christians? You know what the charge was against Polycarp? Anybody? Of being an atheist. Yeah. You see, in the Roman world, there were a lot of lies being said about these Christians. People either out of ignorance or out of malice began to say all kinds of things. And you could see where a little kernel of truth is taken and distorted into a lie. They denied the existence of the pantheon. They didn't worship Zeus. They didn't or Juno. They didn't worship the Roman gods, and so they were atheists. Many of them denied to pick up arms and go to war with innocent tribes out in the Germanic regions, and so people said that they were seditionists because they wouldn't fight for the Roman army. They even accused the early Christians of sacrificing children and drinking their blood. Well, you see, we say that we eat the flesh of our Lord and drink their blood. See what they do? And so when the crowd is being riled up against the people, they firmly believe that they are doing what is right. Condemn the atheist. Condemn the seditionist. Condemn those who are cannibals. And yet Polycarp knew the truth. It doesn't matter that everyone in the crowd was shouting a lie. He knew the truth, and he spoke boldly of his love of the Lord. And he would not back down. Sisters and brothers, I believe that the times are here where we need to pray for such conviction again. to cling to the truth, and to live virtuous lives, even when lies are being said all around. To stand on that. Because if we try to build ourselves a walled garden for ourselves, dependent on the world around us, we will do nothing but fight and fret and be anxious. It's beyond our control. But we have been delivered into the hands of one who is eternal. His love will endure, and he is a firm foundation on which we can build our lives. And so, sisters and brothers, as we come before this altar, we come here as a people of hope, recognizing that this altar promises us that that kind of love, that kind of foundation will destroy all the lies, all of the evil, all of the sin. It will destroy even death itself. It cannot be shaken. Let us receive him, give him our heart, and stand firm on him once again.